Okay, so question, how much of your life do you feel like you're stumbling around in the dark, confused and uncertain? So for me, often in church, sometimes, or with God, God's huge. I just feel like I'm stumbling around in the dark sometimes. Or my emotions, up and down and up and down, stumbling around in the dark, confused. Or how much of your life is in the light? Like you know where you're going, you, you know where you're heading and what you're doing. So in my marriage, it feels like it's going well, and that's great. It feels good. And in my job, I'm getting some more light. It feels like I know what I'm doing roughly. So can you just talk to your partner, or if you don't want to, just think about it. How much of your life do you feel is in the dark, and how much is in the light? Go for it. What's in the light? Let's concentrate on the good bit. You're here. Keep reading the word. Stay below. Okay, cool. So for lots of people, life is in the dark and they can't see where they're going. They haven't got the light of Jesus and they're confused. They can't see what they're doing, so they can't do the works of Jesus. And they do bad things, so they want to hide them and stay in the dark. And sometimes they bump into other people because they can't see what they're doing, and it's a painful, difficult place without Jesus. When I first became a Christian, I was encouraged to confess, and I wrote down all the things I'd ever done wrong and told them to a mature Christian, and it sort of wiped the slate. I was talking to somebody recently who confessed. He said all the things he'd done wrong, and there was some pretty hideous stuff. And he felt like crying, very, very emotional afterwards. And I said, "You've removed a barrier between yourself and God. That's what's going on." And so you can step into the light, and the light is mainly lit up, was only lit up by Jesus. He is the light, and because he's really obvious, we can go towards him, and even we can become little lights. And yeah, it's kind of life with Jesus is a bit clearer. You know what you're going for. You can see it. It's clear. Everyone's heading together. Go for it. So the encouragement for today is open your eyes to Jesus. That's the message of the sermon. Open your eyes to Jesus. Cool. So we're looking at Gospel of John, and we're not in Tewkesbury, we're looking at Israel, and we're looking at the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, which looks like this. We're not a harvest festival, we're at the festival of booths. They built little booths at that time. They built them all over Jerusalem, so at night they light little candles in them, and you get all these lights spreading over, and Jesus appears and he says, "I am the light of the world." That's the context. That's what he means. Light sweeping across the place. Okay, so here's your challenge for today. Could you grab your Bibles and could you read first 7 verses for an easy challenge, medium challenge is that bit, and difficult is read the whole lot. Could you throw your hand up if you need a Bible, and especially if you've got a large print, if you need a large print Bible. Okay, fantastic. So which of these steps of John are we in? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Yeah, we're in chapter 2, we're in bit 2, so still looking at signs to help us believe in Jesus. Chapter 9. And these are the main themes of John. It's completely obvious. What is the main theme that comes out in this passage? Again and again and again. Yeah, light and darkness. It's completely, this chapter is all about light and darkness. That's the main 7 themes of John. So let's look at it. John chapter 9 is split into 3 sections. You've got Jesus heals a blind man. Yay! The blind man gets interrogated by the religious leaders. Boo! And then the blind man worships Jesus. Yay! Okay, that's it. So let's have a look at the first section. So, as he was walking along, Jesus saw a man blind from birth. His followers asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Now, how stupid is it that it's his fault, he sinned, so he's born blind? Okay, that's not true. That's not true. Sometimes bad things happen because we sin. Jesus says, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned," said Jesus, "but this happened." Sometimes bad things happen. Bad things happen just because they happen. We live in a broken world. God made it perfect. We've messed it up. So sometimes just bad things happen because they happen. God will make a heaven where there will be no pain, no suffering, no natural disasters, no diseases. So this is good. Then Jesus goes on to say, "This happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. So I might heal this guy, so everyone says, wow, God is amazing." Is God twisted? "I'll make you blind so I can heal you." No, God did not make this guy blind. God is going to heal this guy. Is God egocentric? Look at me, everyone look at me. No, God is not insecure. God does not have a big ego. He wants everyone to look at him because that's the right place to look, because he's the center of the universe. When we look at God, we're looking at something beautiful, good, pure. Lovely and wise. Imagine if scientists had an amazing discovery and they found out that you are God. Everyone would run up to you and go, "How did you make the world? Can you answer all our prayers? Uh, should we live our lives like you? Hey, you're God. Can you run this country? Can you run all the countries of the world?" And you might think you might do a good job, but for the rest of us, it would be a total nightmare. And for you, it would probably be a total nightmare. We are not God. God is God. So the attention should be on God. So what should we do? Jesus said, "As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. We must do the work of God. Night is coming when no one can work. While I'm in the world, I'm the light of the world." So what Jesus does is he says, stop talking about sin. Look at Jesus. Don't worry about the sin and suffering. Look at Jesus. We can ask, why? Why am I not healed? Why is this bad thing happening? Why is this going wrong? And Jesus asked that. My God, why have you left me, forsaken me?" It's okay to ask, why? Why is this happening? I met a lady who, quite a few of her relatives died, quite a few of her family died. She had some terrible things happen all in one year. And she said to me, "I used to ask God why. I used to say, why has all these horrible things happen? But I found out it is more helpful to ask what and how. What should I do now, Jesus? How can I cope with this, Jesus?" So we can ask why. It's okay to ask, why is this suffering? But it's more helpful to ask what. What should I do now? What should I do, Jesus? Or how? How can I deal with this? So that's what Jesus says. He says, don't look at the sin, look at Jesus. After saying this, he spit on the ground. The Greek word is patoo, literally, the noise you make. After he said this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva and put it on the man's eyes. Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam. This word means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. No one had ever healed the eyes of a man born blind. And this is the great thing. We can't do it now. Jesus can. But we can't. Science can't. Because if your eyes don't work from birth, the bits of your brain that interpret what you're seeing don't develop. So when Jesus healed him, he not only healed his eyes, but he actually healed his brain so that he could interpret what he's seeing. So Jesus did what we can't. And Jesus took this incredible miracle and he went right to the heart of Jerusalem where he was opposed. The main area where people didn't like him, most of them, he was opposed there. And he said, this is incontrovertible. You can't argue with this. Deal with it. And if you're facing a situation in your life where you're opposed, where you're struggling, get with Christians, pray, fast, and God will either change it or he will give you the strength to deal with it. He can take it. He's not afraid. He will take it to the place. He will deal with it. He's not afraid. He can take it to that area where you need help. Okay. To show you that healings can still happen, there's a lovely gentleman in this church called Ken, and he's given me permission to share his story about his healing. So I'm going to play you an audio recording of his story. And Ken also says that his story of God healing him has encouraged others to have faith. He's shared his story. And he also says that at the moment, he's receiving the healing of God through the medical profession. God can heal in many ways. Is Ken deceived? Lying? Has he got an ulterior motive? Well, many of you know Ken. He's an absolutely salt-of-the-earth, lovely gentleman. He read that out to me on Wednesday, one of the days this week. When we share our stories, this is what Jesus did for me. It's very difficult for other people to argue with it. Well, you're lying. By the stories we have, we can overcome the enemy. So I just encourage you to share your story. That's a very interesting argument you got against Christianity there. Let me tell you what Jesus has done for me. I like that. Let me tell you what Jesus has done for me in my life. So that's encouragement. Share your story. God can do it. Okay, so that's the first bit. And we've look at Jesus, not sin, and share your story. So now we're going to look at the second bit. The blind man gets interrogated by some religious leaders. Boo! So I'm going to play you another video.
Hello, I'm the man who was blind.
Hello, we're the religious leaders, the Pharisees. So, you were born blind, apparently. How did you receive your sight?
Well, Jesus put mud on my eyes, and I washed, and now I see. Hallelujah!
Hang on. Did you say Jesus made mud? That's working. You're not supposed to work today. Today's the day of rest. What a bad man.
Let me get this straight. You are more worried about Jesus making a tiny bit of mud than the fact he gave me my sight?
He's got a point. How can a bad man do something amazing like this?
Oh,
Look at us having this discussion. We're so open-minded.
yeah, right.
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. We don't have to believe this blind man. On his own, you need 2 or 3 witnesses to prove something. And there's no one around who can tell us whether this man was blind from birth.
Oh, hello. We're the blind man's parents.
Uh-oh.
Yes, he was blind from birth, and now he sees. Bye-bye.
Oh no, what a disaster! This proves Jesus really did heal him. Let's try and discredit Jesus. Tell us the truth. Isn't Jesus bad?
I don't know. I do know one thing.
Yes?
I was blind, but now I see.
Ah! Oh, how did he open your eyes?
What? Do I have to tell you again? Oh my goodness. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his followers?
No, we don't even know where this man comes from.
Well, he's obviously from God. God listens to good men. After all, you said it yourself. How can a bad man do something amazing like this?
Hey, don't use our arguments against us. You're a bad man too. Get out. Get out.
Okay, so I haven't gone completely insane. Who found that mildly amusing? Okay, there's a point to this. Why I did the pantomime with the frog at the start of the service, and why I made that video deliberately funny, quote unquote, is because this bit of the Bible is actually supposed to be quite funny. You sort of listen to these religious leaders being so stupid. They're more concerned with a bit of mud than a guy's eyes. You look at them and you kind of laugh. How ridiculous is that? And the whole point is that it's supposed to make you look at yourself, because we're all a bit like the religious leaders. Let me explain. My parents had a fire in the lounge when we were growing up, and very sensibly they put a fire guard around it. But imagine they'd have thought, what happens if the fire guard gets hot? Let's put another fire guard. And then what happens if a little bit of coal comes out and it's too hot? Let's put another fire guard and another fire guard. That would be ridiculous, right? The fire is good, but they've put too much protection in. Or imagine if you've got a sheep. That's my picture of a sheep. Thank you very much. And you put a boundary around it, which is good. You keep it in, yeah? But imagine if you thought, oh, it might get out of that fence. Let's build another fence. Or it might get out of that one too. Let's build another fence and another one. And soon it gets ridiculous. Putting the sheep in the enclosure is good, but this is ridiculous. Now, the religious leaders were like that. They had something good. Take a day off every week. That's a good thing, right? And then they thought, well, we definitely don't want people to break that rule. So let's put protection around it and make sure that on the Sabbath, don't even think about work, which is a good thing, right? On your day off, don't worry about work. Put it out of your head. That's a good thing. But then they thought, well, we don't want people even to do that. So on the Sabbath, don't do anything that even looks like work. Don't cook, don't walk a long way, don't rearrange furniture. You need to cook, don't you? This is getting a bit ridiculous. It got so ridiculous that they came up with 39 sets of laws that you had to keep the Sabbath. That's 1,500 rules you had to keep, including, on the Sabbath, don't heal people like Jesus did, and don't make mud, which is what Jesus did. Right. They start with something good, have a day off a week, but they've got overprotective. And I'd argue that we're all a little bit like that. We start with something good, but we can get overprotective. Right, hear me out here. We protect ourselves from people who hurt us. That's fine. Great, that's great. But we can end up protecting ourselves from everyone. We can keep people at a distance. I don't like parties. If I go to parties, I might sit in a corner because I don't want to talk to people. That's okay. That's okay. But we might avoid social situations completely. We might not talk about our emotions. This is not healthy. It's okay to protect ourselves, but sometimes it can go a bit far. Let me give you another example. We protect ourselves from people who hurt us. That's okay. But sometimes we resent the people who hurt us and we don't forgive them. Okay? Sometimes we badmouth them or judge them. Sometimes we push them out and refuse to talk to them. Sometimes we don't talk to people who are friends with them. And soon enough, the whole world is pushed away from us. It's just gone too far. We might feel sensitive about our appearance. That's okay. We all do that. But we might put on a fake persona. We might hurt ourselves with harsh diets to force ourselves to look good. We might end up hating ourselves and hurting inside. It's got too protective. We might be scared to do God's will. That's fine. Everyone's scared to do God's will. He's asking a lot. He's asking us to die. But we might bargain. God, I'll do anything, but I won't go to that country. Or we might say, I won't obey you, God, because I'm scared you'll hurt me. And we might run away from God. Too overprotective. Maybe we were hurt by church and we're careful. That's okay to do. If you're hurt by church, you should be careful. But maybe we don't go to church or don't go to life group because we're too busy, or we feel vulnerable, but it's just an excuse. Or we blame church. We isolate ourselves. Maybe our marriage broke down and we feel vulnerable. It's okay to feel vulnerable, but we don't fix the things that caused the breakdown. We don't get healing. We don't allow others to love us. So, a bit of a challenge today. Where is your tender spot that you might be overprotective? Oh, don't touch his car. He's a bit sensitive about that. Yeah. Oh, don't talk about that. She's a bit tender about that. Where do you rant? Where do you tend to rant? That bit of a sore spot. Where is it difficult to obey God? You can see some knowing glances. Boundaries are good, but they can become unhealthy. Counselors and doctors can tell us various ways to bring the barriers down. At the end of the day, we need to trust Jesus to defend us. Be like the man who was blind, who let it all down, not the religious Pharisees. And I've got a little bit of prayer, which I'm just going to pray, and if you want to pray, pray in your head. Okay? Jesus, please help me to strengthen healthy boundaries in my life. I'm sorry for any unhealthy, defensive attitudes I have. Please help me to trust you to defend me so I can put down unhealthy boundaries. Amen. I'll give you a bit of time to think about that later. So we're all a bit like the religious leaders. So look to Jesus. Put down your unhealthy boundaries. The religious leaders were saying, God, we want you to do what we want. Don't we all do that? I want God to protect me or I'll be sad. Just let it down. So the final bit, the blind man worships Jesus. Yay. Jesus heard that the religious leaders had thrown the blind man out. When Jesus found the blind man, Jesus said, do you believe in the Son of Man? Who is he, sir? The man asked. But he's so happy. He's so happy you'll believe in anything. Tell me so that I may believe in him. Jesus said, you've now seen him. He, Jesus, is the one speaking with you. Then the man said, Lord, I believe, and he worshipped him. So the man goes from begging, like this, begging, to standing and talking to the religious leaders. And did you notice, when he talked to the religious leaders, he grew. But this man's from God. So, he could only be God. He could only heal me if he's from God. He's arguing with the religious leaders. He's growing in his strength and his confidence. And then finally, he kneels before Jesus and worships him. And isn't that like all of us? We're begging, oh God, I'm such a mess. Then we find Jesus and we grow. But in our Christian life, we have to kneel at some point and say, God, you win. I'll do what you want. Okay. So the blind man has his eyes opened, his physical eyes opened, and he has his spiritual eyes opened. The blind man says that Jesus is a man at first. And then they say, what do you think of him? And he says he's a prophet. And at the end, he's saying, Jesus, you are Lord, God. And finally, he says, Jesus, you're Son of Man, which means somebody who all the nations will come to, and his kingdom will last forever. He really is God. So the blind man's eyes spiritually get opened. But the religious leaders, here's their eyes, they think they know everything, but they end up rejecting the man and rejecting Jesus. Their eyes close. And Jesus says, for judgment, I've come into this world. so that the blind will see, and those who see, they think they know everything, will become blind. So which are we? Are we opening our eyes to Jesus, or are we just shutting down and pushing it all out? So what blinds us to Jesus? Grumpiness? Me. Judgment? It's me. Don't know if you do this. You take people to court in your mind. They're wrong because they did this. They're definitely wrong because they did this. Yeah, they're definitely wrong because they did this. Yeah, you're wrong. You get really grumpy with people. Rumination. Rumination means thinking the same thing again and again and again, and it's not helping. I'm worried, 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 and just the same again and again and again. All of this blinds us to Jesus. Sin, not waiting until marriage before having sex, is sin. Isolating, leaving or blaming church. All of these things can blind us to Jesus. So how do we open our eyes? Okay, lots of things I could say. I'm going to give you two things. A young girl, I think she was 16 or 18, she taught me this in Brighton. I had a problem, and she just said, pray. I said, what? She said, I was taught if you got a problem, you pray. Problem? Pray. Problem? Pray. Can't find your keys? Pray. Don't know what to do? Pray. Your computer doesn't work? Pray. You can't access something? Pray. I'm not saying, I pray before board games. I don't pray that I would win. I just pray that we'd have a good game. I know it's stupid. God is not a vending machine God. Praying does not guarantee that it's going to go well. And God just loves to hear my voice. He loves to hear you. It doesn't matter if, just pray. So problem, pray. Problem, pray. God is not interested in which socks I'm wearing, but he's interested in things that I'm worried about. So pray. So that's the first thing about open our eyes to Jesus. And the second thing is the third option. Often in life, we think there's one option which is bad and the second option which is bad. And we're like, I don't know what to do. And often there's a Jesus option, a third option, the option that works. So, for example, I'll try really hard, or I'll give up, or I'll surrender and let Jesus do it. Let me show you a picture. So in our bathroom, there's this picture above the tap that I wrote last week. A nagging husband is like a dripping tap. And that was because we had a bit of an argument because I was too controlling, as I tend to be, right? Now, Jesus could have been quite controlling. He could have done this. Healed the blind man, right? Pray for the blind man, then take him down the steps. Come on down the steps with me. Wash him in the pool. Great. Oh, well done. Yeah. Bring him back to the religious leaders. Now, you don't need to say anything, blind man who was blind. I'll do all the arguing. Blah, 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 blah. He does all the arguing. Great. Jesus could have controlled the situation. But actually, he said, go and wash, and then left. And the blind man himself did all the work. He's the one who went down. He's the one who washed. He's the one who argued with the religious leaders and won. He did all this stuff. Jesus said one sentence. So Jesus isn't like a controlling guy, like a helicopter parent. He doesn't like trying to control us. Nor does he run away. Jesus could have said, I've offended the religious leaders. I better go. He doesn't. He meets up again with the man. So on the one hand, you've got being too controlling. On the other hand, you've got being too passive. The Jesus way is in the middle. Another example, the blind man, he could have got really angry. Jesus is not a sinner. He could have got really passive. Yeah, okay, Jesus is a bad man. But he didn't. He chose the Jesus way. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I was blind, and now I see. He chose the clever way, the Jesus way. So that's my encouragement, is to try and look for the Jesus option. So I've covered a lot of ground. We've looked at opening our eyes to Jesus, sharing our story, letting down unhealthy boundaries, opening our eyes to Jesus through various things, So I'd like you to talk to your neighbour. What's one thing that struck you from today? Do pray if you want. What's one thing God's challenging you about? What's one thing that'd be good to look at? Okay, so I'll give you a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll finish.